seeing anything on the. Okay. Well, a very good evening to you and welcome to this program of Walter Rodney Groundings. I'm your host, Dion Abrams, and on this evening's program, I have some special guests. Before I introduce the guest for this evening's program, I want to wish all of the followers of Christ, Christ centered Easter. Of course, this is the eve of the Easter celebration. And so, all those who are uh, of the faith that deals with the resurrection of Christ on that third day, we want to wish you all a happy Easter and to remind all the youngsters who are going to be flying their kites to do so in open spaces. We don't want any tragedies. It's supposed to be a festive occasion, an occasion when we reflect on the life of Christ and the fact that he has risen to come again to be crowned as the king of this world. I want to also beg of the people who are at the Guyana Telephone and Telegraph Company. My internet has been giving me problems since late last year. Three technicians visited, and to date the problem has not been fixed. The last diagnosis was that some box on the post, some distance from my home, has to be changed because the wires and the cables are bad. And so I haven't been able to check my emails. I can't really get to do any of the business, the transactions I do online, check my account at the bank, do my transfers. I really am in a quandary. Last program that I was able to upload for Walter Rodney Groundings would have been over 2 months ago, and it's really a bother to me. And the concern that I have with that is that when these things happen, the people at GT&T tell you that they're going to give you back time, and possibly you're going to get a rebate, but you never know what this time is about and what this rebate is. So I am going to have some kind of clear understanding of what I'm going to get back for the time that I've lost. But I'm hopeful that by Tuesday, somebody is going to intervene so that the kind of trauma that I'm going through by the absence of the DSL service that they are providing for me, that can be abated. Really, it's a troubling situation. My daughter's at school. She has projects to do, all kinds of things. The internet is not something that you can afford to not have at this particular juncture. All right. I want to remind you that all contractors and householders can contact Prems Electrical of 177 Alexander Street, Laceytown, for a wide range of residential, commercial, and industrial electrical supplies. You may call 227-7165 or fax 225-0394. And that's Prems Electrical of 177 Alexander Street, Laceytown, for a wide range of residential, commercial, and electrical industrial supplies. Well, on the program this evening, I have two gentlemen at present. A third guest is supposed to be here. He's on his way, so when he gets here, he will join us. But I have with me Mr. Clifford Zammit, who is the chairman of the Plaisance Industry Neighborhood Democratic Council, and Mr. Lyndon Cave, who is the vice chairman of that NDC. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Good evening.
And I must congratulate you on your well, I should say appointment, because your elections are always such that because of the nature of the tie, where you have the same number of opposition councillors as APNU councillors, that the minister has to make a decision, a determination.
That's correct.
Yes.
In terms of who should head that council. And the PPP wanted to challenge since the last round.
Yeah.
Did they go ahead with that at all?
They did send a letter the time before
First
last,
year.
the
Oh, the
first
first
year.
The second year,
Lost.
they lost the election.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. Well, we're here to discuss Plaisance industry, and as a member of a council myself, I've been on this program talking about issues related to the NDC and its management. You're here because you have a number of concerns. What is really the major concern that you have as representatives of Plaisance industry?
Well, the major concern that we have is the fact that we cannot get our overseer to understand what her role is. And where allegiance lies, who she should take instructions from, that is, she should take instructions from the council and in between council meetings from the chairperson. What appears to be happening is that she's taking instructions from elsewhere, from the region. Somehow the region seems to be the force that is giving her the instructions. So when you tell her to do things, she is very slow or tardy, and in most cases don't do them. So as a result of that, we've not been able to have the kind of progress that we were hoping that we should have been able to have.
So, you want to say anything about that, Joe?
Um, not yet.
Okay, so the question of governance of the council is the major concern, and the role of the overseer. Now, this seems to be a problem that is pervasive throughout the councils in Region 4. I don't hear of it happening in any other of the regions that I am aware of. I know there are some problems in Region 5, but this question of giving overseers priority and prominence over the council, which is the body that is supposed to make decisions, the overseer is supposed to be the administrative arm who carries out the functions of the council. Now, you were saying that the overseer is being given some kind of directive
Yes.
from other sources. Now, how does that come into play? I mean, you want to speak directly. I mean, I am aware of the issue because I've confronted them head on. But you got to let people know what is happening. You can't be afraid to speak, right? So, what are the problems you're having?
Well, for instance, you meet and things like you're not allowed to see the financial status of the council as a chairperson. There's a dragging of foot and it has to wait until somebody gives the go ahead. There are things like you have a meeting and you give instructions and it's not carried out, and the region questions your decision. Like for instance, the council decides that there should be a special committee and give instructions to the council, to the
Special
overseer,
committee.
to the special committee is going to do this, and they're questioning your appointment of a special committee and trying to tell you that is not how it is to be done. And as a result of that, you have things like 134, section 134, which states what the chairman can do. You have people come and interpret it their own way, in which it says the chairman can ask for and can take copies of. And they're saying, no, you can't do that. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to carry things out of the council. They're supposed to stay in the council. So how do I get copies of it if you don't have a photocopy machine? You know, maybe they're trying to say that you should tell the person to go and photocopy. You tell them to go and photocopy, you don't get a copy of it. There are things you've asked for. Like, for instance, you're asking for, there are letters that have come. Can I see this letter? Can I see the letter that says what the change is in terms of there used to be a certain amount of money that the council could spend without going to the tender board, to the regional tender board. But once there was a change in that, and you're asking to see that letter so that you can know how much it is, and you can't see it. You know, and that tells you that there's been no proper recording of important documents, because when you look at things like their personal files, you find that they haven't updated since 2013. So that tells you, you ask for a time book and you can't get it at the time you ask it, but you get it afterwards. When you look at it, you realize that it was only implemented at a certain time. And certain documents, you find that kind of thing happening. So these are not things that you came in expecting to meet. You came in expecting to be able to flow. But now you're finding out that what is happening is that your authority is being questioned.
You want to mention talk anything about that? Vice Chairman?
Well, like the chairman said, the issue is unfortunate, and we find ourselves in a position where we came in expecting that we would have the cooperation of the staff to really get on with the business of serving our community as we have been duly elected to do. Unfortunately, we quickly understood that the staff seem not to be interested in serving our community. They seem to be interested in serving elsewhere. And so basic things, in this day and age, there is no proper filing system. There is little of no use of the available technology. Something as simple as the council's letterhead. You have staff that seem not to be capable of editing the letterhead to reflect the changes that would have taken place in terms of electing a chairman and vice chairman. And then there's this system where they continue to duplicate the letterhead, and we're saying that that is not how it should be. The letterhead is an official document, and it should be at all times reproduced in color copies instead of being photocopied, because you might have a system where people will photocopy your letterhead and use it for their own purposes, and we don't want to see that happening. But you think about it from the 31st of January 2018 that the chairman would have taken the oath of office to today being Sunday the 1st of April. That simple hurdle cannot be crossed as yet. We still cannot get our letterhead being printed the way that it should be printed.
So you don't have a computer in the office? I mean, the Ministry of Communities would have donated computers to some of the NDCs. I don't know if you were in that, but I know some NDCs prior to that would have acquired their own computers. So
We have computers, but the reality is that we don't have enough. But in terms of printing the letterhead, we needed a color printer, and there seems to be some foot dragging in acquiring a color printer, even though the council would have went through the correct procedure, which is to have it brought up at the statutory meeting and decided upon and give the overseer the instructions. You have a situation where if you want to see things happening at the council, it requires the councillors to get up and go and get quotations themselves instead of having the officers function the way they should function. If we want to see things happen, we have to go and do it ourselves.
now, for me, I mean, a lot of the intervention in the Bucks and Falls NDC came from the vice chairman of the RDC. Is it the same situation with you? And I mean, I have had to, establish my authority in relation to the Bucks and Falls. Is that the same situation where, because somehow the guy seems to want to concoct the law to suit his own design and to give these overseers powers that really they don't have. He's giving them authority over the council. I'm surprised that I'm hearing that you can't get a sense of what your books are saying in terms of finances. So how will you make decisions if you don't know what finances you have at your disposal for the execution of works in your council? You're only mentioning that you're getting problems from the region. Who exactly are the people that are causing the problems with your council?
Well, let me say this. The reason
I mean, you can talk about specific situations.
I wrote, and that's what I've been doing since I took over as chairperson. I would write to the overseer and say, well, these are the things I'm requesting that should be done. And you don't have any response. And you realize that it's getting, January is finished and nothing was completed. For instance, the bridges, we have some bridges that are not functioning. But you kindly tell us what is the financial position so that we can plan for these bridges. We need to put out notices. Nothing was done. So I wrote to the head, the chairperson of the region, 4 letters saying this is what is happening, different things, bring it to her attention. And eventually she called a meeting, so I thought it would be to sit down and look at what the problem is and really deal with it. But she opens and says to me in that meeting, I haven't read your letters. So why are you meeting with us if you haven't read the letters? But you're meeting with us, and then you make a decision. You're making the same decision that I would have suggested even to the overseer, and that is, we set up a meeting on Monday mornings, because every Monday I would meet with the residents of the community. So I would be at the office. So I say to her, at 8 o'clock, you and I can meet, and we can go through the work to be done for the week and get it settled. That wasn't done. She's saying, no, we must go back and set that up. And I'm saying, but there's something that we've decided on already. You don't, it's like you're suggesting something that has been suggested but has not been adhered to. Because I turn up, and it's almost if I'm begging you to come to the meeting, and then you tell me you're busy, you have things to do, and you leave. We have meetings, and you don't come to the meeting with staff, and you go in your room and you're locked up, and that's quite disconcerting in itself. But you have to carry on because you're not going to get up and start a war because these are things you take a record of it. You plan a town hall meeting, she plans with you, everything is okay. And then if you don't push to get that town hall meeting come off, it's not going to come off. And to date we've had two, and they've attended none of them, even though you would have instructed, you would have requested their presence. Nothing has been done. Now, here is the chair sitting there with you, of course, with the vice chair who is there, who went to a meeting with the vice chairman and made it clear at that meeting that he was going to fix things come the Thursday meeting that we would have with
That's the vice chairman of the RDC?
Of the RDC.
Mr. Lambert?
Mr. Lambert. Saying that he's going to fix things. Now, the point is, here we are, you need to listen to both sides, but you give it a one-sided. Whatever.
When you say fix things, what was the impression you got from this fixing things?
Well, as Mr. Keith can tell you what he was saying at the meeting, he was at the meeting there.
We have the communities committee at the RDC. That's the first Tuesday in every month. So at that meeting, we have an opportunity to hear from all the overseers and where necessary the chairpersons or vice chairpersons from the different NDCs within Region 4. And at that meeting, of course, the other NDCs presented their reports and whatnot, and Plaisance couldn't have presented one. So I waited my turn and I asked the question, why is it that Plaisance didn't present one? And that sort of let the cat out of the bag, so to speak. And, Mr. Lambert said, listen, I didn't want to discuss it here because I know that we would have scheduled a meeting. So let's wait until the meeting happens. But when that meeting comes, we're going to take care of business. We're going to make sure that whatever the issue is, it is corrected and we can go forward in the right direction. Of course, we went to the meeting and, we were... we didn't get what we went for. We went to try to sort out administratively that, listen, the council, not any person, not the chairman or the vice chairman or any specific councillor, but the council is in charge of governing the affairs of our local authority area, and the overseer is charged with carrying out the instructions that the council would have given. But we went into that meeting and came out. As a matter of fact, I would think that things were worse off than when we went into the meeting, because what you continue to get this resounding thing where these overseers are feeling empowered to break the laws of Guyana, where Chapter 2802 is concerned, because they're downright defying councils and they're being, encouraged by the regional administration.
So, have you taken any steps to, apart from meeting with these guys who really seem to be, they're part of the problem,
Definitely.
particularly. So, I know. So I've stopped going to their meetings. Period. I don't go to the RAC. I don't go to any of the meetings because they really serve no purpose as far as governance of the council. They're putting more problems,
Yes.
and engendering more issues rather than solving problems that should be. So I don't go to the meetings. I don't know if you all are emboldened enough to do the same thing. Because if I find something is not doing what it is supposed to do,
Yes.
then I really don't need to be there. You understand? So for the past year, since last year, I've stopped going to those meetings. But I think my concern is that nothing, even though all these issues, because I've had complaints from all along, East Bank, East Coast, right up, in relation to this problem with, particularly how these guys are dealing with the council and so on. I don't think they're seeing the larger picture that what they're doing is because they're political functionaries. We were all political functionaries.
Yes.
And what they're doing is ostracizing a set of people who are leaders in their communities, who are possibly going to be needed to take the AP and UAFC forward when the next election comes.
Yes.
And the number of problems that they've been creating for people who have worked they're behinds off, behind the APNU. I mean, one lady who was chairman for the coast came to me and was literally, on her knees wondering what to do, how to deal with these guys, because of the way they've been treating her. She was a teacher. She said during the elections she was at home doing nothing, and she found that nothing was happening in her community in relation to pushing for the general elections and so on. So she got up on her feet and she did so much. All right, and then they asked her to be part of the local government thing. But when she got in there, the same kind of experience that you got, the same kind of thing she encountered. And this is primarily one individual.
Yes.
And I don't know what his agenda is. If he's so dense that he doesn't understand what he reads, or that he has some kind of agenda that is fulfilling his own, desires in relation to these overseers and so on. Because all along the coast, people are complaining. But my problem is nothing is being done about it.
Well,
nothing is being done about it.
We have come to the place where, we have tried diplomacy, and diplomacy has failed. We have tried to meet and talk about it in house. Some people would say, well, you want to air your dirty linen. But we really were left with no choice, because we feel like the only way our community can move forward is if we do two things. One, we have to bring it to the community's attention, and by extension, the whole country's attention. And two, we are hoping to go as far as attracting the attention of the president himself, because I got involved in local government elections at the charge of His Excellency, saying that, all the things that he did to champion the returning of local government elections, he inspired me. So I got involved, and I really feel like, local government is the president's baby. But somehow, this child is being left in the wilderness, and he has not been taking enough steps, in my opinion, to really address the issue and push the local organ where it needs to go.
Mr. Zamet, as chairman, one of the major powers that chairman of the NDCs have in relation to the administration of the business of the council is that you are the ultimate two signatories to any check that has to be passed, one councillor and the chairman. Now, what is your current status in relation to it? Because the overseer can't do any spending if you don't sign a check.
We were sworn in on the 31st. And even as we speak today, the signatories that has not been straightened as yet. This 2 months is gone. And the only significant activity taken was taken by myself, in that we made this decision on the 7th. We had a special meeting. We said who were going to be the signatories and everything. Okay. And it's up to the 17th of February, nothing was done.
I know,
and
you mean correspondences to the bank and so on?
Well, the overseer said to me she'd sent it off ever since. The next day she said she sent it off. We had it the 7th, she said the next day she sent it off. So I went into the ministry and began to find out. And after the surgery said, no, it didn't come until the 17th of February. So then we pushed, the ministry gave us the letter, we took it to the bank. But then the bank has some new rules where they're saying they need to see the minutes of where the decision was made, and they want to see the financial statements for 2 previous years. So, which means that automatically it's no longer it's out of your hands, because now you've taken in all your references, everything, you're all right. But we still have to have this document from the NDC. You go back and you say, well, look, you have to carry this in, right? If it's not, February is finished. We're into March.
And March is finished.
And March is finished. And we're still at that state where one bank is saying you need a letter that says that these are going to be removed. I personally did that letter and gave it to the officer and said, okay, you sign, because I don't want to sign for myself. Because I'm the chairperson and you're replacing my name. I did it for you, you look. If you want to change it, you can change it. But you need to get it off. That hasn't been done. So hopefully this week coming, I'll have to dedicate myself to ensure that that happens. Because now I've come to a point where I'm saying I'm no longer even going to be signing the vouchers. In the meantime, somebody has to be signing the checks so that people can be paid. But
Yeah, but as chairman, you can, I mean, the council can decide that because the old signatories are still signing the checks.
still signing.
The council should make a decision that unless you become signatory, that no checks will be signed. You have that purview. You know, I mean, it doesn't have to be that these persons who are no longer because you, as the chairperson, you were supposed to be the signatory. It has to be an agreement that you have come to that way. Okay, so that the staff can be paid and that transactions can continue while this transition is taking place.
For some reason, it's not being done.
That, you know, we don't want to hold up the business of the council.
No,
so
you don't.
let the old signatories continue. But if it's not getting you where you want to be, then the council can rule that that doesn't happen. And if Mr. Lambert or whoever wants to go against the rule of the council, then you have to really be stern and take things in hand.
In my opinion, all that is happening here is the staff have taken a position, and that position is we think that we can wait out the expiry of this council. So we can continue to drag it on because they cannot refuse to pay us. So let's drag our feet, and the time will come, the council will be dissolved, these guys will be out of here, and that will be the end of it.
What does it do for governance at the local government level? Because the next council that supersedes your council, they're going to find themselves in the same problem. So it means, therefore, that these things have to be straightened out now.
Well,
all right?
But you see, what happened is that probably what they're thinking they're going to do is put people that we can give orders to. Because a similar situation did happen where there was one person that was identified, voted for, and then something happened. I wasn't here and I learned about it, and then that person wasn't. But as a result of that, what you had was, like for instance, when Ms. Gibbs speaks about what he hopes would happen with our market. This was something that should have been implemented
What,
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Like,
What was it about?
Well, it was
we were looking to really have a formal system happening in terms of managing our market, because you came in and you recognize that persons are paying money to the council, but you cannot see where this money is going. You don't have a sense of how much money is coming in.
No, but you are supposed to have a market clerk, and she would give you a report on how much money would come in.
You see, the problem is that for 2 years, I was the chairman, or for the better part of 2 years, I was the chairman of the market committee. And in that time, you're asking every month, what are the finances of the market? Because, for example, we wanted to buy a power wash, so the market could be cleaned better than it's being cleaned. And all you being told, yes, we're going to do it. The chairperson at the time would say, oh, please facilitate Mr. K with the stuff that he needs. But that's all you get. And you complain to the chairperson and say, listen, these things are not forthcoming. And she would come to the meeting and say, oh, I told you guys to do the thing. But outside of that, she's taking no steps to make sure that these staff are carrying out the instructions that she's giving. So now we're saying, well, Madam Chair, if you're not taking any steps, then you're a part of the problem too. And of course, it got to the situation where it became a back and forth between myself and her. And, you know, you're being verbally abused. And I said, you know what? I'll step back. I'm resigning from this market committee because I don't understand why is it that we cannot see the finances of this entity so that we can know how to plan, you know, and see where we can go in the short term and in the long term.
No, but every month you have a monthly financial report. You're supposed to, don't you?
Well, the truth is that, you know, unfortunately, the system has been so crafted by these staff that have been there for so long. You know, this broken system where they do not send out communication correspondence on a timely basis. So, for example, you have the statutory meeting, you're going to receive the minutes late, and you don't receive any financial reports. When you go to the meeting, they will put the financial reports on your desk. Now, the reality is that councillors cannot properly peruse those documents at a time. I would take it upon myself to quickly, while I'm doing everything else, to quickly go through it. And you will quickly find that there's so many inaccuracies. Simple calculations are wrong to the point where we were at one meeting and I said, councillors, are you aware of the nonsense that you're looking at here? These figures are not balanced. And when everybody stopped and paid attention, there was a DDO there at the meeting, and he prompted the overseer and said, listen, collect back all those reports. It's just a mistake. I was saying, this cannot be a mistake.
But what you need to do, I mean, the meeting is your meeting, and if the documents aren't furnished on time, you can just disregard them, all right? Say that you're not going to accept them at the meeting, all right? I mean, you see, the thing is, you have to take control of what is happening with the council, all right? If things are not going right, you're the chairman of the council. If you don't get the reports on time, then the reports will not be accepted, it will not be discussed, it will not be passed, all right? So that if they want to take it wherever they want, the fact is it's not sanctioned by you, you got to sign it.
Okay.
So don't sign it at all.
Sign it. but,
right?
but those things are never signed.
If you're not, so how are they taken beyond your council if they're not signed?
But that is the system that has been at play. And what the overseer will do is just say to the regional authority that, listen, the chairman didn't sign. When she shows up, she has to go to the meeting at the region today, and she will show up at the chairman's house this morning.
The document is not valid if you don't sign it.
Well, that's a good question, but it is being accepted the way it has been.
No, we
in
have.
in the past, I figured it was signed. There was remember only this year. So previously, the previous chairman apparently when she worked with something whereby she would sign it. I remember going to one meeting and I stood up at the meeting and said, I've been asked to bring this document, but I have not been able to peruse it. And so, of course, they weren't happy with me saying that. They said, well, if you come here, don't say that kind of thing, you know. But I was making clear that I didn't even have a chance to see it. It just came and I was asked to stand in at that meeting, and so I, you know. But
that was a meeting when you were told that, I mean, you weren't even supposed to speak. I was just encouraging you, giving you a chance. I was at that meeting when you were totally embarrassed by that. I don't know how to describe the gentleman. But the thing is, you know, it fascinates me the way, you know, power gets to the head of some people and their misuse and abuse of what is supposed to be, you know, authority invested in them and their misunderstanding of their role. I think we have too much of that. I was speaking to a very knowledgeable gentleman, a former minister, and I was explaining to him that, you know, at all our meetings, the vice chairman for the RDC was saying that the chairmen have nothing to do with procurement, that procurement is strictly the purview of the overseer and all of that. And that all the meetings he was, I knew the law, I know the law. So I went to the books and I prepared a document that you all were able to see. That the chairman can request any document. You were saying you're having difficulty getting documents.
Oh, yeah.
The law states that you can ask for anything.
Yes.
You can instruct any of the operatives in the office. The councillors cannot do that. But you as chairman.
What we are told is that I can't. For instance, there's the guy that work with SIP. And he's saying to us, formally, you know some of these things are wrong because formally they would say the chairman can speak to him. But now here's a new chairman. So he figures that, well, I can say to him, you're not even supposed to speak to me. Only the overseer can speak to me.
Oh boy. All right.
You know.
Okay.
And so
that doesn't make sense. So how do you check works? If you go out, if they're doing works and you want to go see what is happening,
well, to be
to have
honest,
it corrected and
what
so
I
on.
said to her was that when we get together at the Monday meeting, I should have an outline of where these SIP workers are working. So they would share it with the council so that they can go check too. But I only got one, and then I've never got any more. And recently we had a problem where from walking around here looking, you're seeing that some things are not being done properly. And I felt it wasn't being done properly. So when I stood up at the meeting, I said, well, how are you saying that everything is okay? And I'm not satisfied with what I've seen. Of course, they felt that you should have come to me. And I agreed I should have gone. If I'd known, I would have come to you. But the fact is, I'm not told where you are and who's doing what. So I couldn't. But I promise you that if I know, I'll come check and see what is happening.
Yeah, you wanted to say something?
Well, look, this thing, we can go on and on about all the instances that the staff continues to disrespect the council. We have gone so far where, if God not being who he is, we could have probably had the death of one of our councillors just because we're trying to execute our functions. The special committee showed up at the market to accomplish a task in terms of, again, looking over the council's market books. And it got to the point where a stallholder's parent attacked the councillor with a knife. And then you call in the police, and again there seems to be this understanding in the community that development must not take place. So you have people trying to cheat the system. You have somebody will know somebody, and they call the police, and instead of the police coming to do due diligence, we're saying this is madness. A councillor, while he may be operating at the lowest level of the government, he is still representing the government. Is this how you would treat the minister?
It's local government.
Is this how you would treat a minister? Is this how you would treat the president if he showed up here? Come on, there must be some basic decorum. The police comes and says, I don't have time to investigate that. You're wasting my time. And you ask yourself, how in this day and age
But
these
didn't
things
you
are
report
happening?
that to the commander of the...
Well, I've written the commandant about it, and I'm waiting a response from the commandant. So we have brought it to his attention.
Now, I can understand what you're going through, because even in my council, attempts were made to have a no confidence vote against me because of my standing up for what I believe and what I know to be the correct thing. I brought Vincent Alexander to this program, who is very knowledgeable on local government, so he could have on several occasions clarified issues related to local government and the administration and the council, the relationship that should exist. The Ministry of Communities, that ministry has put together a booklet that
Right.
clearly,
Volume
two
one
of
and
them,
volume
right,
one and
one for
volume
the municipalities and one for the NDCs in relation to how the council should operate in relation to the administration.
Yes,
And these things are clearly defined.
yes.
Now, have you made any attempts to meet with officials of the Ministry of Communities? Because they have an understanding, or they should have an understanding of what should obtain in terms of management of the councils.
I've had several meetings. The minister was listened carefully, and he pointed out that when I went, it was after March, after I'd gone through all of February, the problems that I'd been writing, I met him in February, in March, and he said the LGC had just come into being on from the 1st of March.
That's the local government
Local
commission.
Government Commission. And it would be good to, and he gave me the number, call the chairman of that. Call the chairman. The chairman explained to me that things weren't on stream as yet, and the moment things get on stream, they'll try to address the situation. That this is the end of March, we're into April, and I figured things should be going about now, because I took letters and all the information, I took it into the LGC so that they would know what is happening. But because in the meantime the status quo wasn't changing, we had to start trying to speak to the people, and people we had town hall meetings, just a few people turned out. You're not having the kind of response that you would like, so that you can share the information with people so that they can, hopefully they would come out and say, look, there need to be changes. Now, as a result of that, someone took it upon themselves to turn up and say, well, look, the minister sent them, the president sent them. But that didn't change the situation, because out of that meeting came a situation where it's like you were saying to the staff, you're right, you're right, and these guys need to know the place. So you come out of that meeting with a sense of, am I doing something wrong? All I'm doing is trying to get us to a place where we can speak with each other, recognize what needs to be done, and get it done. And I would hope you would be able to say, well, okay, why didn't you answer the minutes that came to you? Some simple things. Why didn't you answer the minutes? Rather than no, you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to be taking documents out of the place, and giving them the impression that you are all well and good to do what you did. People working, sometimes one person working
Three jobs at the council, and because the council will ask questions it is frowned upon, to the point where this individual comes in and says, there's nothing wrong if you're working 3 different jobs at the council. We're saying we've had a situation where the previous year has been signing to pay workers that are reporting to work doing 2 completely different functions on the very same shift. So from 7 to 4, you have one man working on the garbage truck and he's working at the market. How is that possible that they're doing this thing at the same time and he's being paid? And you come in and you recognize and say, what is going on here? And that sort of thing is frowned upon. Why should a man not be allowed to earn from these 2 places? We're saying, of course, we don't want to encumber anybody earning, but this is illegal. This is fraud. You cannot be clocking in at 2 different places at the same time of day and being paid for it. That is illegal.
I'm worried that the local government commission is not yet pretty active. But how is the council responding in general? Because you have 2 parties that are majorly involved in the council. How is the council in general responding to what is happening at the level of the administration?
Well, one side is not there present.
They're not attending at
They're
all.
not attending. They're not attending. The first meeting, we hope that they would at the next meeting. In fact, in this month we didn't have any meeting, and that's quite a. It's a toss, and you're saying to. I recognize that there would have been a problem. In the meeting, they said we'll have the meeting the last Friday, and I figure most people interpret to me the 4th Friday, but the month had
5
Fridays. So.
Yeah, but if the minutes and so on were, and the correspondences for the meeting were sent out, then each council would have known the exact date of the meeting.
No, but this was we took a change of the statutory date of the meeting.
Yeah.
So we changed it from Wednesday to Friday, and it was a toss between, well, it will be the last Friday. And maybe most people thinking, well, 4 Fridays in a month will be the 4th Friday, but there were 5 Fridays. And somehow the communication did not gel, and as a result of that, there was no meeting. So, of course, I was trying to say, let's have it on the 4th Friday.
Recognizing that the
Recognizing
5th
that
Friday
it
would have
be a
been Good
holiday,
Friday.
So you need to have a meeting, you know. And, well, I wasn't persuasive enough, or my colleague would say, I'm not firm enough. But I can only tell you, look, let's do this. I will go out and share the minutes, and I'll explain to the councillors that why it's a short notice.
You were sharing the minute. Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
I'm
for that
offering
meeting.
to share and explain to them why it is so. And but for some reason,
Yeah, because
so
long
they say-
story short, the overseer did not want that meeting to take place. Because that meeting is critical, or was critical, to our NDC moving forward in the right direction, right? We were to take some bold steps, and the overseer became aware of what we were about to do. And she tried everything to derail the meeting, so much so that I told the chairman, I said, sir, you have to recognize that when the beginning of this week, this overseer is going to do everything to make sure this meeting does not happen. And he's sitting there, and she's playing, she's making her moves, and I'm like, come on, Mr. Chairman, you see what is at stake here. You know, and he's saying, well, the chairman has taken an approach. He says, listen, we have to employ humility sometimes. And I'm saying, at what expense, sir? We are not doing this. There is no glory that comes to Cave or Zamit or any of the councillors. We are here because we want to serve our community. And even if we don't feel like, if we want to feel sorry and not execute our functions, then the electorate will hold us accountable. We have to do what is good for the electorate, not what is good for us. Extension, what is good for us should be what is good for the electorate.
That is one of the points I've had to make, that overseers are not elected officials, and they don't have to go to any constituency when elections come
That's true.
to tell them that, well, look, vote for me again because my track record is evident and clear. All right? So if you are allowing them, if you want to continue as the council representing that neighborhood, and you have the overseer stymieing whatever demonstration of your capability as a leader for the community, is, if she's stymieing all of your efforts, it means therefore when you go back to the people, they're going to say you have done nothing. All right?
That's true.
it therefore means that you really cannot allow that to happen,
You must not allow
right?
that.
You should not, and you must not,
There's too
right?
much at stake.
Right? And somewhere along the line, uh, people have to understand that this really doesn't, spell good for the APNU AFC coalition.
Yes.
But all of the guys who seem to be, you know, creating these problems and giving these overseers this clout that they really shouldn't have. I mean, if you listen to people on the ground and the way people are describing their own governance, you realize that the frustration
Oh yeah.
is not only at your level, but it pervades the entire region. All right? And what they're doing really is going to put a dent in people's morale, in the drive that people have for this thing called APNUAFC. And that come elections, the general elections, that there will be a massive fallout if they continue to have their way. It therefore means that the principals, the president, the general secretary, and all the other people of the PNC, the APNU, the WPA, all of the parties that make up this coalition, that they have to get on board and decide that they're going to take some steps to address it. Because we've been complaining for too long.
Yes.
I know that the last time we had some issues, I was told by one of the senior functionaries of the PNC, to which that gentleman belongs, that they really don't want to seem as though they're interfering in the
I would
local
think so.
governance and
I would
so
think
on.
so.
All right?
But to the detriment.
But it's to the detriment of
the detriment.
the party.
Yes.
It's to the detriment of the entire coalition if they are allowed to continue in the way that they're going.
Oh yeah.
Right? And something needs to be done to put a halt to this nonsense.
Yes.
All right? I mean, industry Plaisance, you have a very vibrant market. You go to the meetings, you listen to the reports from one report, the reconnaissance. You know how much money the market makes. All right? You get a sense that that NDC is doing absolutely, good, fantastic, because of the number of businesses there and all of these things.
Yes.
Plaisance industry should be doing the same thing. How is
Actually,
it
we
that-
should be doing better because
Well,
we have
okay.
more than they do. Statistically, we have more vendors, we have more businesses, we have an international airport in our local authority area. We have all the tools that Plaisance should rise up. Industry Plaisance should rise up and become the next town in Guyana. But you have a system that is broken, and for all intents and purposes, it's not being allowed to be fixed. So we are going to continue to try to execute in the short term because there's only a small time remaining, and we have to recognize that we will have long-term goals, we will have short-term goals. We certainly do not want for elections, local government elections, to come around and we have absolutely nothing to show the electorate that we would have achieved in the time that we would have been there. So in the short term, what we're trying to do, we believe that one of the critical components of uplifting our community is improving the situation at our market. Because you will recognize that, Plaisance, we're lively people. And we seem to be having a little bottlenecking of traffic at Victoria Road. So we, as a council, we've looked at it and we're taking steps to address it in this month of April. All right, we're going to be making some changes at the market. Administrative, one of the things that we would have been encouraged to do is to increase the rates. And we're saying that cannot be the best approach because, first of all, we still don't know how much money we're getting. So why would I now go and say I want more money when I can't account for the little that I'm supposed to have? So we're saying no. There's no raising of rates. Let us improve the system. Let us have every vendor, every stall holder enter into a contract with the council because for whatever reason, you've had people selling at the market for 15 years and they've never been in a contract with the council. How can that be? So we are trying to streamline a system where we're putting these contracts in place. We would have went down the road of meeting with the vendors and showing them what the contract is about and what services it will bring to them, because you recognize that we're collecting money, but the people have to come and clean the place themselves. The place is untidy. So we need to start giving them back something for this money that we're collecting. So we're streamlining the system. We're going to introduce the contracts. With those contracts are going to come the services that they're required to have. We're going to be cleaning the place. We're going to provide better garbage facilities, and we're going to be able to bring in some money that we can, for example, repair the face of our market, improve our surroundings, clean up the place. And these things are nothing special. These are the things that we should be doing for our community.
No, your financial statement, it's based upon your budget, the allocations in your budget.
Correct.
Spending according to these allocations, how is that monitored by the council?
Well, it should be that the finance committee spearheads overlooking what is happening in our budget. But like I said, it is unfortunate. It's a perfect storm what happened. We were supposed to prepare our 2018 estimates at the end of 2017. The council is cognizant of that. Ask the overseer, when will we prepare the budget? Says, you'll be notified. We get a call on the 28th of December to say we need to hand in the budget before the 31st. Please come tomorrow, let us prepare. How can we possibly prepare a comprehensive estimate in a few hours? So now we couldn't prepare a realistic budget. And even the instructions that you would have given the overseer, listen, that time being the factor, let's hurry and see how we can get this thing together. But before we send it out, let us be able to have a look at it and make sure that what we're sending out, we are in agreement with. That wasn't done. The overseer prepared our own budget and sent it off. So now this year, when we would like to do spending in certain areas, he said, yeah, I can't spend money. You're held within this cap here. And we say, those things should not have been. But I know that the new chairman has been taking some steps with the finance committee to try to, first of all, rein in our access to information. And that's why we've been trying to appeal to the public and let the public know what is happening, so that with the partnership of the public and the council, we can be able to hold these people that we have supposed to be serving our community accountable to the standard that they should be accountable to, because it is taxpayers' money that's paying them.
Your overseer is the same overseer that you all picketed and protested.
Unfortunately, and I always say, Plaisance are passionate, Plaisancians are passionate people. Unfortunately, we championed the cause for the overseer to come in, but since then, we have done no due diligence. We're not taking cognizance of what is happening. We're not holding her to anything. We should now be asking her, why are we not getting development in our community, madam? That's what we should be doing as residents.
Do you know that as a council, you said you only one side of the council, but with a majority vote, that you can move a vote of no confidence against the overseer, and with that vote that you can have a remove.
Yeah. By whom? It should be by the LGC, following what the local government system has allowed for. But as we say to you, we have a system where the overseer has already had 3 warning letters, and the overseer knew that meeting that she derailed, she would have had another letter, and she could have possibly had a no confidence motion against her. And because she understands these things, of course she's going to try to prevent the meeting from happening. And then we say, no, we already have the 3 warning letters there, but when will the LGC step in? We see what is happening in the city of Georgetown. We see that all across, we had a similar problem happening in Linden, in the township of Linden. But when will the LGC understand that they need to act swiftly, because as local vernacular would say, the grass is growing and the horse is starving?
Well, it pains, it pains.
Yes, it does.
Particularly because we are people who are giving service. The chairman of the NDC collects a mere $10,000 a month for stack. People believe that you enter this system,
People believe
that you're getting
smart.
paid big money and so on. The
But we should be getting paid.
councillors receive 3,000 what?
Yes, yes.
Right.
And unfortunately, you have a system.
And if they
again,
don't go to the meetings,
right, the overseer is dictating that in order for you to get this $3,000, you must come to the meeting. That is not what the law says. The law says the council decides how much they will be paid, providing that we can afford it, of course. And the council decides how we get paid, not the overseer.
That thing was passed since during Ganga's time, and they're still holding to it.
But it's
but
illegal.
you can overthrow it
It's
because
illegal.
it's your council, right? Ganga Prasad had made that ruling that because they felt that some of the councillors were not working, that if they don't attend the statutory meeting, they shouldn't be given this stipend. Well, I mean,
who can work for $3,000 a month? Who will work for $3,000 a month? Around the Caribbean, you have councillors being paid better. In Jamaica, the lowest councillor is being paid $181,000 a month. Now, I believe that these things should happen. And again, because I'm saying this is the president's baby, these are the things that he should be taking steps to make sure that they happen, because now you get to hold the councillors to a higher standard of accountability. But what can you tell a councillor who has a full-time job, who says to you, listen, quite frankly, I ain't got no time with y'all because $3,000 can't mind me, so you can't hold me to anything. But if you're paying them, they have to work or they have to leave.
It's unfortunate, but no attempts. I mean, recommendations were made for. Well, we know that the overseers too were getting 40.
Yes, they were poorly paid.
Right, their salaries were double. Now they're getting 80 and all of that.
And we would like
but
to see them get more.
The councillors are still left with 10,000 for the chairman and 3,000 for the councillors and all this. So we, excuse me, we are people of service.
Yes.
Right, and when people come to you, are you making money? They say that they don't understand that you are there because of your love
for what you want to do
for the community, that you want to see improvement, that you're basically giving of yourself. Right. For me, I'm a teacher. I'm at school. I get a lot of complaints that I'm looking after political work more than I'm doing school work.
I have the same problem at my workplace.
Because you got to be out there. If people got complaints, you got to go check. You got to see what is happening, and so sometimes you have to leave your job to get these things.
Just simply you can't do the two together the way you would like to do it.
Certainly, right? So I don't understand. I don't really understand, and I think the decision about this 3,000, so many things that we have taken on from the PPP that we're not changing.
I would hope to see the government take some measures in the upcoming budget to address the issue swiftly, because the president himself said, this new government said, if you want to see service, you have to be able to pay for it.
Yes,
and so the ministers, everybody's paid better. But you have 3 different levels of government. At the regional level too, those regional councillors are not being properly compensated.
$10,000.
These things need to be fixed, because if you want service, it has to come at a cost. It's not free.
Well, it's really pathetic. I mean, the ministers recognized, the cabinet recognized that somehow they weren't being paid enough as soon as they got into power. Right?
And they failed to recognize that we're not being paid at all.
Right.
Yes.
It's a kind of strange thing. But, I mean, I'm glad that you've come, and I'm hopeful that other NDCs with similar concerns can begin to, because the more people speak out,
yes,
I think if we have a groundswell of people who are against this kind of high-handed attitude of the regional vice chairman.
Well, you see, I think one of the problems you have is that some people are being threatened that they will not be returned to office.
which of course they have no power to
We've
tell
had that
you.
kind of threat issue that
We're gonna ensure you don't go back
we're
there.
going to show you don't go to.
Boy.
But you've got to be, you one have got to be terminal. Look, as much as I might like this, sometimes it might be better for me to walk along, go on my way, right? Rather than to be here and you decide what I'm going to do. And at the end of the day, nothing is really being done. And I will have to face the electorate if I want to go back. And they say you did nothing.
You get a lot of the insults and so on.
Exactly.
Because people believe that you're doing nothing.
I mean,
I told my party that I have no interest in running again. They're saying, man, you can't do that. But you going to, I mean, a person, you got your own dignity, you got your own pride.
Of
And you get
course.
some dimwit, nincompoop, trying to make you so belittle your integrity and everything. I mean, it doesn't.
It's dumbfounding
Yeah.
that allegedly we're supposed to be having the same focus, which is to see our community rise, but for some reason you're working directly against me
Yeah.
to prevent what we're trying to do for the betterment of the community to happen.
Gentlemen, I really want to thank you for coming and being willing to speak out. And I'm hopeful that, something can be done to bring a halt to this thing that has been going on for too long. I believe, I mentioned to Vincendi that they should really transfer all these overseers, move them around as the PPP would have done.
One of the things I want to make clear, when we came in, we had this idea about providing jobs for people, using the land we have at the back, developing it. Those ideas were put in place 2 years ago. And here we are in the third year, and all we hear is people want to take away land. And rather than talk, and then people say, you're not coming with any economic venture. And the one you put and say, look, we have land. Let's either form a co-op, let's do something. Let's look at what we can do. And the very people turn around and say, no, don't trouble that. So how are we going to move forward if you're not going to trouble that?
Anyway, I just want to remind all contractors and householders to contact Prems Electrical of 177 Alexander Street, Laceytown for a wide range of residential, commercial, and industrial electrical supplies. You may call Prems Electrical on 227-7165 or fax 225-0394. Time has caught up with us. I want to thank Mr. Zamet and Ms. Cave for being on the program. And if you so desire to come again, if your problems continue, I'll be willing to accommodate you so that we can speak and let the people know. What you can do is to make people aware in the community. Well, look at the program. We've been talking about your issues, encourage them to look at Groundings, and so that they can be aware of what is happening in their community, so that at the end of the day, your side is clear.
Definitely.
All right,
Thank you
to
very
the
much.
people out there, it's been a pleasure being with you. I do have a cold. Forgive me for the coughing, but these things do happen. I look forward to being with you next week, same time, same channel, for another program of Walter Robbie Groundings. Good night.